Today we'll finish our topic related to the horizontal transition curve. And till now, what we have seen related to transition curve is the need for transition curve, its components, and the design methodology. That we have to consider three parameters or three values of transition curve, basically the length of transition curve. And one value is based on the rate of change of centrifugal acceleration. Second is based on rate of your superrelation, rate of introduction of superrelation, and third is from the empirical formula of IRC. So based on these three formulas, you get three values, and then you have to adopt the highest amongst the three. So we had seen one numerical related to this yesterday. So in continuation to that, we'll see a couple of more numericals. So the first one for today is maximum superrelation to be provided on a road curve is 1 in 15. And if rate of change of superrelation is specified as 1 in 120 and the road width is 10 meter, then the minimum length of transition curve on either end will be, and then you have four options. So now this I have taken from previous competitive exams, and this is from IS 1995 paper. Okay. So there is a reason I have taken this numerical. If you see and read carefully, they have asked, the length of transition curve, which will be there, but there is a small change in it, or change, if you see the data, what they have given. So they have given only three values. That one is the maximum superrelation to be provided is 1 in 15. Now this is also an unusual method of giving you the value of superrelation, because generally you have seen they give it in some decimals, 0.07 or 0.05, but here they have just given it in other way, that e value is 1 in 150, 1 in 15. So this is nothing but 1 upon 15, and when you divide, you'll get the value in decimal terms. Then they have given the value of n, that is the rate of introduction of superrelation. It's 1 in 120, and then the width of your road, that is b, they have given as 10 meter. Now if you think over it, using these three values, only these three values, what can be done to find out the length of transition curve? Because we don't have an important parameter, which is the design speed, v value. If we would have the v value, then we would have applied the formulas for rate of change of acceleration, centrifugal acceleration, and the IRC's empirical formula for, but we don't have that, and neither do we have the data through which we can assume the value of v. Okay. So the data generally that we use to assume the value of v is that it is a rolling terrain, or it's a national highway, it's an expressway. So neither of the two data is also given. So we don't use the design speed anywhere in this numerical. So obviously, if you now have got the answer that only using these three values, we can apply only the criteria number 2, that is rate of introduction of superrelation. Okay. So really in this numerical, we don't have to follow all the three steps or three types or three values of your transition curve. We have to just find out one value based on the second criteria of rate of introduction of superrelation, and whatever will be the value, that will be our design length of transition curve. Now in this also, rate of introduction of superrelation, we know that we can have two cases in which the pavement is rotated about the inner edge, okay, like this, or second is in which the pavement is rotated about its center line. So based on the two cases, whether it's rotated about center line or about the inner edge, you have to use two different formulas. So now this information is also not given, that whether the road is rotated about inner edge or outer edge, nor they have given any topography related data that it's a roaring terrain or hilly terrain. In yesterday's numerical, we saw that they had given hilly area and high rainfall region. So based on that, we had assumed that it's a case where the pavement is rotated about the inner edge. So that is also not given. So we have to find out by both the methods, and then we have to look into which is the value which is closely suited to our four options. So if you see the options 180, 125, 80 and 30 meter. So now let's see the solution. So starting with the E value, superrelation value, they have given 1 in 15. So just I'm calculating it in decimals. So 1 upon 15, it's E is equal to 0.067. Okay. Then the N value they have given. Now, if I consider this case that length of transition curve Ls by the rate of introduction of superrelation, then obviously the first case will be if I rotate the pavement about the inner edge. So for that I have formula Ls is equal to capital E into capital N, and capital E is nothing but small e into b, where small e is the superrelation in decimals and b is the pavement width and n is the rate of superrelation. So we know all these three values. We know the value of E, it's 0.067, B we know it's 10 meter, and N is 120. So substituting the values, you get the length of transition curve as 80.4. Now, as I said, we really don't know whether which condition, for which condition they have asked, whether they have asked for pavement rotated about inner edge or pavement rotated about center. So we'll calculate for both of them. So for pavement rotated about center, it's just half of this value. So En by 2 or E by 2 into N, and substituting the values, you get 40.2. Now, if you see the solutions that they have given, so we have got 80.4 and 40.2, and the solutions they have given is 180, 125, 80 and 30. So obviously this is our answer, and the reason why we have taken this, so if you recall, we generally take, even if when we calculate the length of transition curve by all the three parameters 1, 2 and 3, we take the value which is the highest amongst these three also. So the same concept we have applied here, sir, that even if we are calculating only by this second parameter or second criteria, then too we have two cases in it. So we'll take the maximum value amongst it, and that's the value of 80.4. So our answer comes out to be the option C, which is 80 meter. Okay. So this is a bit different numerical. Only it is concentrated on the second parameter, unlike the other numericals in which you have to find out the length of transition curve by all the three parameters. So that's all with the numerical. The next numerical, now it's from a competitive exam, GATE exam of 2006, and it is a pretty much straightforward. You can see that at a horizontal curve portion of a 4-lane undivided carriageway. Now this is one important data that they have given, 4-lane undivided carriageway. So I hope you have understood by now what's an undivided carriageway. Undivided is nothing but in which you don't have a median, or what we call it in basic or layman's term, a divider. So we don't have a divider in that case. So that's an undivided carriageway, and 4-lane is obviously these 4 lanes. Now these 4 lanes can be used in any way, that 2 in up direction, 2 in down direction or so. Okay. So that's a 4-lane undivided carriageway. Then a transition curve is to be introduced to attain a required superrelation, and now they have given the design speed. V, capital V is 60 kmph, radius they have given 245, and they have told to assume the wheelbase of longest vehicle as 6 meter. So that's the small l value. Then superrelation rate is 5%, and rate of introduction of superrelation is 1 in 150. And then we have to calculate the length of transition curve if the pavement is rotated about the inner edge. So if you see, they have given almost all the data which is needed for design of your transition curve, and then they have given these 4 options. So if I look at the given, so they have the design speed 60 kmph, the radius 245 meter, small l, that is the wheelbase 6 meter, then superelevation value E is 5%, again an unusual way. So it's nothing but 5% is 0.05. So in the previous example we had seen, it was given in fraction. Here it's given in percentage. The both you can convert it to the decimal value. And then your N, it is 1 in 150. Okay, that is the rate of introducing a superelevation. So based on this data, you have to simply calculate or apply the 3 steps or 3 parameters. First, you have to calculate the length of transition curve, considering the rate of change of centrifugal acceleration. Then second parameter, rate of introduction of superelevation, and the third, that is the empirical formula. So starting with the first parameter, we have this formula for rate of change of centrifugal acceleration. C is equal to 80 by 75 plus V. And just by substituting the value, I get the value of C as 0.592 meter per second square per second, because it's the rate of change of acceleration. And then we compare it within the range. So it's 0.5 to 0.8. So obviously it's considerable and we can use this value. Then coming to the first parameter, that Ls is equal to 0.0215 V cube upon Cr. Now we know the value of V, we know the value of R, we know the value of C. You have to just substitute them and you get our first value of Ls or transition curve, that is 32.02. Then the second one, that is rate of introduction of superelevation. We have seen it's 5%, that is nothing but 0.05. And yeah, they have given the wheelbase. So they are expecting that we should calculate the extra widening also. So extra widening, we have the formula NL square upon 2R plus V upon 9.5 under root R. So it's nothing but mechanical widening plus the psychological widening. Okay. We know all the values, so just substitute them and you get the extra widening as 0.697. So from that I can calculate the total width of my pavement. Now for total width, I need the initial width of the pavement. So initial width they have not given directly. So I have taken 14 meters. So from where this 14 meter came, they gave us the information that it's a 4-lane highway. Okay. So four lane highway, I told you that a standard lane, it is 3.5 meter in width for a single lane. So 3.5 into 4, it's 14. It's simply 2-lane highway. We take it as 7 meter and double of 7 is 14. So from there, I took this value of 14 meter, that is the initial width. And then I added the value of extra widening that we calculated just now. So it comes out to be 14.697. Now all we have to do is, they have also given the condition that the pavement is rotated about the inner edge. So we give the complete superelevation on the outer edge itself. Okay. So the formula is capital E into N. It's nothing but capital A small e into B into N. So we know again the values of all the terms. Small e is the superelevation 0.05. B is the width of pavement we have calculated just now. It's 14.697. And then rate of superelevation is 150. So it comes out to be 110.23, the length of transition curve. And by the third formula, now for third formula, I have used the formula for for the rolling and plane terrain, because you'll see that if I use this formula 2.7 V square upon R, my value comes out to be 39.67. And even if I use the another formula, that is Ls is equal to V square upon R, which is in case of hilly areas. So now we really don't know whether the numerical is related to the hilly area or rolling plane or rolling or plane terrain. But obviously, if we use this formula, Ls is equal to V square upon R, so the value is going to be less than this value. Okay. Whatever ls we calculate, ls1 if I say, so that ls1 will be less than your value that you have calculated here. Okay. Because obviously in this term or in this formula we had this 2.7. So anyways, there is no need to again apply this formula. Okay. As we had did for the earlier case that we were not knowing which is the case, whether it's inner edge rotated or center line rotated. Here also we don't know whether it's a plain or rolling terrain or it's a hilly terrain. So if we go by the assumption that we have to apply both the formulas, but it's a competitive exam, you know the time consideration is there in it. So to finish the numerical as quick as possible, just apply some logic that if this by applying this formula, my value of LS comes out to be 39.67. Then obviously if I apply this formula, my value of LS, that is transition length, transition curve length, that is going to be less than this value. And anyways, we adopt the highest amongst the three. So there is no need in really calculating this value. Okay. So now we have got our three values. By the first parameter, we got 32.02. By second, 110.23, and by third, 39.67 meter. So the highest amongst the three is adopted, and it's 110.23. And from the options, if you see, so option D is the suited one in which they have given the values 110.2 meter. So that's our correct option. That is option D. So this is all with the transition curve, and a small thing that I didn't cover in any of the numerical is there is something called shift of transition curve. Now we have seen that what is the shift of transition curve. So if I just go back the components of your transition curve. Yeah. So in this figure we had seen all the components, and here we had that shift of transition curve. That is its deviation from the circular curve. Okay, so if I extend this circular curve, which is in red color, so if I try to extend it, I'll get this kind of this dotted line over here, which you can see on both the sides. So there is a difference between that dotted red line and that green line, which is our transition curve. So that is nothing but shift. And the shift of transition curve, it is given by the formula I showed you just now. So this is the formula for a shift of transition curve, that LS square upon 24R. So it's a straightforward. In some of the numericals they have asked this as well, that along with finding out the length of transition curve, also find out the shift of transition curve. So if you apply this formula over here also in this numerical, and if I tell you to find out the shift of transition curve, which is equal to length of transition curve square divided by 24R. Okay. Again, it's an empirical formula. So you have all the values. You have the LS. Now this LS will be the one which you are adopting. That is in this case 110.2 meter. So 110.2 square upon 24 into R. The radius, I guess they have given. Yeah, radius is 245. So S will be equal to 110.2 square upon 24 into 245, and whatever is the value, you will get that value as the shift of your transition curve. Now, why this shift of transition curve is really needed? If you recall your knowledge related to surveying, in which you had studied the setting out of curve, so that is directly applicable over here. So this transition curve is also, it's a curve, though it's not having a complete circular curve radius, but it's a curve, and you have to set it out on field while construction. So to set it out, you need some parameters such as the deflection angle and the shift. So based on that, you can set out this curve on field. So that's why this shift is needed, and that can be found out by this formula, LS square upon 24R. So that's all with the transition curve. whatever value you get, it will be in meter because we are taking ls in meter and radius also in meter. Okay. So that will be the shift of transition curve. So that's all from my side for today.